Okay, let's try to do that just 2 more times. I can see Vivian just joined now. So the same thing, right? Hug your elbows forward, pull so that your hands are drawing your head down actively. Not too much, it's a very sensitive area. So you feel that pressure from the back of your neck. And keep using your hands drawing down and begin to press your head up. And you press so much and you feel your back of the neck having to work a lot until you're starting to look forward now, your nose pointing straight in front of you. And keeping that resistance. And slowly bring your chin back down again, but you're still very lightly pressing up and against your hand at the same time. Now, when your chin is all the way down this time, keep your chin down, release your hands onto your thighs. And maybe noticing your head feels light. It feels like it wants to point up. And maybe noticing any interesting things happening in the back skin of your head. And take any deep breaths.
It gets hot when you have a hot.
In and out.
Jumping around, chanting.
And from here, we'll do a little side. Lengthen your spine up, straighten your head. And as you exhale, bring your left ear towards your left shoulder. And just like we did before, your hand grabbing hold of the head, just a tiny little pressure, the tiniest amount, pulling it down a little bit. Noticing your shoulder wants to lift up. Can you draw your right shoulder down and away from the neck at the same time? So perhaps you feel a quite sharp sensation all the way from the side of your neck down towards the top of the shoulder. If I have to mute you, I can hear Sam talking. Now from here, keeping this, and bring your right arm up, bending at the elbow. We're gonna do some funny stuff. And turning so that your right palm face upwards into the sky. And think about you spinning also your whole forearm. So your elbows starting to point forward. You're spinning your whole upper arm. So your shoulders starting to feel like it's reaching back. Ooh. And slowly do the opposite, pointing your thumb towards me, maybe even down to the floor. Spinning your forearm, spinning your elbow up, maybe even forward. Maybe even your whole upper arm, shoulder forward. And from here, reach this arm down and back behind you. So you feel this whole line from the side of your neck, through the side of your shoulder, and maybe you feel onto the front shoulder. And just one more breath here, reaching this arm back behind you. Now keeping your head where it is, releasing your hand onto your thigh. And releasing your left hand so your head will come back into the middle. In just a moment, maybe feeling if there's any difference between left side, right side of the neck. Now, opposite side, take inhale, lengthen your spine. And exhale your right ear towards your right shoulder. And very gentle pressure with the help of your hand. And just very lightly drawing it down. Noticing difference between if your left shoulder lift up versus if your left shoulder drawing back and down away. I'm just going to take a moment here. Imagine your breath moving and spreading the skin from the side of your neck. Maybe even noticing as you breathe in deeply, where, what part, if there's any sensation that shifts, that moves, that changes. Now from here, same thing. Left arm finding the cactus position, flipping so your fingertips, your palms face up. And begin to spin. You're spinning your palms face behind you, your forearm, your elbow pointing forward now. And you're trying to spin the whole upper arm, shoulder open back. For some of us who have been using our shoulders a lot, this might be very uncomfortable, aka the breastfeeding ones. In the opposite direction, pointing your palm, thumbs forward, forearm forward, elbows up, maybe even forward, and spin your whole arm back. So this upper shoulder is starting to round and feeling a little hunched. And keep the shape and begin to reach it down and back behind you. And you feel that intensified length from the side of your neck, down through your shoulder, through your arm. And just 2 breaths right here. And begin to release your left hand onto your thigh, releasing your right hand onto your thigh, and just letting your head float back into the middle. And right where you are, close your eyes for a moment, noticing how it feels in the side of your neck. Maybe if there's any residual sensation that you can still feel. Where? What kind of texture, what kind of flavor would you say these sensations are? And if it feels good for you, softly letting your head turning from side to side. And this is not so much a task, but more an exploration. It's like we're trying to screw a part on and checking how this joint is working. If it feels good, making circles with your neck all the way. My neighbor's having a party. Now from here, you're gonna find that weighted object that you have, whatever it was. So we're talking about, it has to be a little bit heavy. I'm using a wet wipe. Now sitting tall, roll your shoulders back and down. So your shoulder blade is resting on the back of your heart. And you're just gonna rest this elbow next to your ribs. It doesn't matter which side, left or right arm. Bending at the elbow, and you're just holding it like you're holding a plate. You're not quite grabbing it. And to start with, keep your elbows here. We're just gonna bring this arm out, as far out and back as you can, and back. I'm just gonna do a few times. And noticing as you go to the end, you feel the back of your shoulder just staying a little. That's normal. I'm gonna do about 2 more like that on this version. Now the next time you're reaching this arm out and back, keep reaching back and begin to lift. Lift your elbows up and away and begin to lift all the way up in towards the sky. And remember that opposite rotation, begin to turn your hand, your fingertips pointing forward, overhead, until you come all the way, your hand in front of face, bring it down in front of you. And from here, pointing at the elbow, bring it out until you just turn your hands again, rotating, finding the initial where you start. If you drop that block just now, do it a little bit slower this time. I'm gonna do 1 or 2 more circles on this side. And as you turn, we're trying to find the biggest movement on each rotation, especially when you're up, really turn and bring your elbow forward. Your upper body might move a little bit, and that's okay. And we're trying to make this movement mainly into the shoulders though. Just the last one, wherever you are. Mm-hmm. And when you're done, we'll switch to the opposite side. So your left hand. And keeping this elbow close towards your ribs. Lengthen the spine, roll your shoulder back and down. And we just start by a little external rotation, just rolling your hand as far back behind you as you can. You might feel a very big difference between left and right side. Mine surely feels very different. On the next time your arm is out and back, keeping that rolling back and slowly lifting your elbow, lifting through the hand until you push up. And bring your fingertips pointing forward and slowly rolling until you come all the way out and down until you're slowly spinning your arm back forward, finding your initial position where you start. So we're gonna do 2 more. Maybe noticing if there's one side that's a bit more funky, a bit less used to doing these things. And try to think of it as different instead of one is good or bad. These are just different reactions that we have between 2 sides of the body. And just a last circle wherever you are. And when you're ready, you can drop this thing to the side now. If you're sitting cross-legged, come onto your knees. And we're gonna do one thing that all my students love very much. Bring your knees wide and tuck your toes under. And I'm showing you my butt because I want you to see that you want to draw your ball of your feet together. And that's the big part here. Spread your big toes super wide and press the ball of your feet, your heels all the way in towards one another. It's like I'm trying to put some kind of money between your heels and you don't want to drop it. Press them so close. And yes, your feet will cry a tiny bit. That's normal. Now from here, press your heels together. Bring your hands back and sit onto your feet. And we're gonna sit up with our spine. And you hate me a little bit now. That's also normal. If your feet feel super too intense, sit a little bit higher. You can have a little blanket. If you have the block still, you can have it just on top of the heels. A little bit less pressure is less uncomfortable. You can also just occasionally lift your hips off of the feet. Just give it a break, right? And we're gonna move a little bit in the arms so that we forget about what's going on here. Now from here, bring your arms out into a big T. Remember that rotation? Roll that so your palm is facing up. Point your thumb maybe even down so you're really rolling your whole arm out and back. And feel that your chest will broaden. And from here, stick your ribs forward, reach your arm as far back as you can. Take an inhale. And exhale, spin your palm opposite direction. Thumbs down, spin your whole arm, your shoulder, your upper arm, reach forward and reach your heart back behind you as you do. I'll show you. As you inhale, spinning your palms out and back and roll and open your chest, puff your ribs forward. And exhale, opposite, rolling your fingertips, your thumb back around your back, and you feel a stretch in your back of the heart. And one more like that, inhale out, your heart forward, puffing, reach your ribs, your shoulder back. And exhale, rolling through the thumb, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, reaching your arms forward. And this time, cross your right arm underneath the left, binding at the elbow. Maybe you press the back of the wrist together. Maybe you press the front of your hands, front wrist together. Notice your shoulder is still rounding. Keep your elbows close and draw your elbows back and down. So your shoulders reaching back and down behind you. So you feel a little pressure in the back of your shoulders. If your toes are crying, lift your hips and point your toes back. Now keep pulling your arms away from one another and begin to lift your elbows. And take an inhale, lift your shoulder, lift your elbow, lift your face. And exhale, elbows into your heart, round your chin down. And just do one more like that. Inhale, lifting elbow, face your heart. And exhale, elbow, rounding the shoulder, your face and chin. You can stay here this time. Press your elbow into your heart. Bring your chin down towards your face. And trying to keep your lower back quite straight. So it feels as though you're not leaning forward. You're leaning back behind you. But you're puffing, reaching the back of your heart into the sky. I'm going to take 3 breaths right where you are. Just going to have a look. On each of you inhale, think about the back of your heart broadening. So it's like you're rounding, making a big turtle shell. And exhale, elbows in and puff your heart into the sky even more. And 2 more breaths like that. And exhale, rounding even more. And the last breath, inhale, the back of the heart broad. And exhale, squeezing your elbows into your heart more. And from here, slowly releasing your arms, reaching it out. Open the chest, rolling your thumb down. And exhale, softly bring your hands onto the floor in front of you so you can lift the hips. Ooh, point your toes back. Maybe your toes are crying a tiny bit. Give it a moment. Noticing how it feels in your shoulders, your neck, the back of your feet, and your thighs. And since we're already here, give it a movement, maybe just a little wave with your whole body from side to side, maybe a circle. Maybe you move a little bit into that spine. Cat-cow, your belly down. And rounding. Now, when and if your toes start to feel less uncomfortable, I'm gonna do that one more time on the other side. Your knees wide, tap your toes under. Spread your big toes wide and press your heels, the ball of your feet close towards one another. And sitting onto your feet. And imagine you're pressing your heels towards one another still. So we're gonna start by that movement in the shoulders and the arms again. Reaching your arms out. And take it inhale, rolling. So your palm facing up, maybe even back. Your whole upper arm, shoulders open and reach back. And exhale, opposite. Turning your palm, forearm, elbow, upper arm, and reach forward. Inhale, turning your palm, reaching out. Imagine the whole arm trying to roll away from the front. And exhale, rolling forward and rounding. This time, left arm underneath. Bending at the elbow, binding. As much as you're holding your elbows together, pull your shoulders apart and down towards your bum. So you feel that muscle in the back starting to resist. And take inhale, keep that resistance. Lift elbow, lift your chin. Next out, elbow into your heart, round the back. And just two more like that. Inhale up. And exhale down. Last one, inhale up. And exhale down. And stay here this time. And literally think about pressing your elbow right into your sternum, that bone in the middle of the chest. And as you press, bring your chin and think about spreading the skin of your heart further. So it feels like you're really stretching through the upper back. Draw your belly in and sit your buttock heavy towards those uncomfortable feet. Just take 2 breaths right here. As you breathe, think about the back body broadening. And exhale, draw your elbow in, your belly into the spine. Inhale, your back body become bigger. And then exhale, your front body smaller, belly in. And slowly releasing your arms, reaching your arms out. And exhale, once again, bring your hands in front of you. Lift the hips. And as gracefully as you can, point your toes back. Bring your inner thighs together. Take a little moment here just to feel the feet, your toes, your bottom, your soles of the feet. If you need to, give it a little wiggle, move your toes or beat the floor just to let out the anger. And from here, sit your bum onto your heels. Press your inner thighs together, bring your hands behind you. And from here, slowly lifting your knees off of the floor. Just stretching the front of your feet from your shin for a moment. And even as you here, draw your belly in and think about your sitting bone heavy towards the feet. And take one more breath right here. And slowly releasing your shins, your knees back down. I'm gonna do just one more of that big T shape. your arms out to the side. Flip that your palm face up. Maybe even turn your palm, your whole arm back and down. Take it, inhale with your arm, and this time stick your butt back and reach your ribs forward. And exhale, rounding through your back and pointing your palm back maybe into the sky. And just one more inhale, reaching your palms out and back. Stick your bum, stay here. And keep reaching your bum back and bring your arm back. Imagine you're trying to touch your elbows towards one another. Now keep that and slowly begin to lift your arms and look up. It's like you're hugging the sky until your palms coming close. It's like you're holding a big beach ball. And from here, looking forward and down. Begin to lift your stomach round your back body just a tiny bit. So your front body sucked in deeply. Take it, inhale, lift your thumb even longer. And as you exhale, slowly reaching your arms forward. Your fingertips finding the floor. Lift your hips off of the ground. I don't have so much space, but walk your hands forward until your hips come above your knees. We want to keep that shape in the spine. So instead of letting your ribs, your chest just drop, can you do what we did before? Look down into your chest. Lift your front body, lift your ribs, and lift everything in your front in towards your spine. From here, push your arms forward a lot. Take an inhale. And exhale, draw your butt to the opposite direction. So you're pulling. And I like that imagination. I heard this story once where they're using mice for experiment. So they're pulling the mice tail up, and the mice will grab their hands onto the edge of the table and give them a stretch. And that's kind of what we're doing. Imagine someone's lifting your tail and pulling opposite direction. Take one more inhale right here. And next, I'll begin to let your chest descend, dropping to the direction of the floor. They don't have to touch at all. And still facing down to start with. And you're still having this lengthening direction, so your hips keep pulling back behind you. You're doing okay. So Selma, if you drop your chest down a little bit more, I think your hands can walk forward more. So your whole arm is completely straight. It's like a weird downward facing dog. Yeah, great. And we really want this to be in our armpit, maybe a little bit in the side ribs, not in the top of the shoulder. I'm going to take about 5 breaths more, wherever you are. Noticing as you stay longer, did you become a little bit less active? Can you keep reaching your hips back? So you're maintaining a lengthening action. I know this is a little bit more active than what you would consider in yoga, but I find that these are more effective. From here, press your hands down, look in towards your chest, and lift and puff your back up to lift your spine away from the floor. And from here, keeping your shoulders somewhere in the middle, your hips high, we're going to do a weird sort of cat-cow in this position. As you inhale, stick your butt up, drop your ribs, drop your belly, and look forward between your hands. And exhale, press into your fingertips. Lift your armpit, front ribs, your heart up into the sky, round. And just 2 more like that. Inhale, dropping your ribs, belly, look forward. And then exhale, lifting front ribs, armpit, ribs, your belly. Just the last one here, inhale. And exhale. Now from here, bring your shoulder a tiny bit more forward so you can have a little break. Walk your left hand further out to the left. And bring your right hand closer underneath your shoulder. And keep pushing your left hand forward. It's almost like your shoulder is reaching away from your butt. And from here, begin to pull your chest to the right side. You're using your hands to grab the floor So it's almost as if you're trying to pull the mat towards yourself, just a touch. And we're trying to find that traction, that resistance in your front shoulder. And I feel a lot in my tricep, in my front armpit. For some of you, maybe you feel it in the heart a little bit more. And just one breath more. And finding your left hand underneath the left shoulder. Take a moment just to feel. Maybe you can feel your hands, your armpit, your underarm. And the right side, your right arm reaching straight about 45 degrees out. And straighten this arm as best as you can so you feel a little bit of lengthening from your right side body already. Grab off the floor or the mat and begin to pull your chest to the left, backwards, behind you. Do you feel that traction from the, maybe it feels like in the skin of your hand, your front of the forearm, into your armpit, into the front chest. And just 2 more breaths like this. Deep breath in and out each time. And slowly lifting yourself back up, back off of the pose. Hands underneath your shoulders for a moment. Just to feel, maybe even close your eyes. And taking your option to perhaps turn your head just slightly. Noticing any movements that ask to be happening. And begin to walk your hands forward, far forward in front of you. But this time, your hands are close towards one another. Then you're going to spread your palms and touch your thumbs right in the middle. And from here, press into your baby finger. Lift and puff your back. It's almost like you're trying to do that cat pose. Now keep that back rounding and push your arms forward and pull your butt back. It's a very similar thing what we did before, just a different distance. Take an inhale right here. And exhale, look forward into your thumbs. And slowly drop your chest to the direction of the floor. If you have quite a lot of space in your upper back, you might be able to drop your heart completely down. But that's not so important. We want to maintain an openness, a length from your arms reaching forward and your hips reaching back. And take just one more breath right here. And slowly look down to the floor. And begin to move your hips back towards the feet. Allow your chest to come on top of your thigh. Let your forehead rest down. And find a child's pose. Noticing the position of your shoulders, your arms. How does that feel in your shoulders now? Would you feel more comfortable to open your elbows wider, letting your shoulder drop away from the face more? The option Lily is taking is great, arms back. And perhaps just to feel what the breath and how your body, your chest, your shoulders, your armpit feels at this moment. And even as you're in your child's pose, how does that feel to breathe? Noticing as you inhale, the back of your body lifting, rounding and rising. It's like a balloon inflating up. Noticing as you exhale, your whole chest being a little bit heavy. And your whole body sink a little bit deeper towards the floor. I'm going to stay about 4 breaths more in this child's pose. And the option to even keeping your forehead pressing against the floor. And just very lightly turning your head from one side to the other. So you feel the mat massaging your whole forehead across the temple, towards the top of your eyebrows. Whatever, fast or slow, any movement that feels great, feels delicious for you. Very nice. Now keeping your forehead down onto the ground, begin to swim your arms back behind you onto your lower back. And interlace your fingers behind your back. Bend your elbows for a moment. Lift and reach your shoulder towards your ears so that you can reach your elbows towards one another. So there's a little rotation in your shoulders. Imagine you're trying to touch your elbows behind your back together. And from here, keep that. Begin to reach your arms back and up and draw your shoulder away from the face now. And you feel the front of your shoulder a little bit more. Now, keeping that sensation that you're reaching back and your elbows together, begin to lift your arms further up and away from the bum. And only coming to the point where you can feel an opening, but not too much. We're not looking for pain here. Just one deep breath, more like that. Noticing as you breathe in, the feeling of the breath broadening into your front chest, the armpit. And breathing as you exhale, draw your belly in a little bit. Now begin to draw your belly into the spine. Your arm is still up. And imagine someone's pulling your arm up into the sky. You pull it up so much, you begin to lift your forehead light off of the floor. And begin to lift up, reach your arms back, your chest away from the thigh, and you come up to sitting. And keeping that bind behind your hand for now, and feel that your front shoulder is still open. Now release your hands, but keep the opening in your front shoulder, and bring your hands down onto the floor behind you. Bend your elbows a little, reach your elbows together, and puff your chest forward and up into the sky. And from here, slowly reaching your spine to stack on top of your hips. Keep rolling your shoulder back and down. Begin to hug the sky again. Keeping your arms far back behind you, lifting your arms up and looking up as you inhale, deep breath. And exhale, draw your belly in, suck your front body into your back body. And bring your hands down to the floor in front of you. Bring your hands just underneath your shoulders, spread your fingers, and tap your toes. And take an inhale, dropping your belly, reach your heart. Maybe doing a rotation in your shoulders here. Think about you trying to spin your fingers out, spinning your elbows out, spinning your shoulders, and feeling that same sensation in your chest, and reach your heart forward and up. And exhale, a little bit of the opposite, spinning your elbows forward just slightly, forearm, upper arm, and puff the back of your heart into the sky. And just one more inhale, spinning your arms out, elbows back, reach your heart forward, collarbone wide. And then exhale, spinning just slightly inwards, elbow forward, lightly puff the back of your heart into the sky. And finding somewhere in the middle now, your spine is middle, is in the neutral position. Your wrist more or less underneath your shoulders. You're not spinning out or in your shoulders, just somewhere that feels soft and feels neutral. And walk your knees just a tiny bit further back and tuck your toes. From here, press into baby finger and puff your heart up into the sky. And begin to lift your knees just a tiny bit off of the floor. And keep pressing into baby finger and puffing the back of your heart up into the ceiling. It's almost as if you're trying to touch the top of your spine up into the sky. Keep that as best as you can and bring your hips back and bring your belly onto your thigh. Can you even touch it? Noticing as you move back, what happens to your upper back? Can you keep puffing your upper back, that upper spine up and away from the floor? It feels like your shoulder is going down towards the ground more. Now keep that shape. Push your arm forward more so you feel that reach, similar to what we did before when we do that shoulder stretch. Begin to lift your bum super high up into the sky. So high. And take a big stretch. It's like we're a big cat. Long breath in. And long breath out. Now from here, if it feels comfortable, begin to straighten your thighs. Push the back of your knee back behind you. Maybe noticing where in your thighs, the back of your leg cry a tiny bit. And keeping that openness, begin to press the heels to the direction of the floor. They don't have to touch at all. It can hover. But that's where we want it energetically to be going. And take 5 long breaths here in this downward facing dog. I'm going to come and look at you again. If you need a little bit of movement in your downward facing dog, go ahead and do any small wiggles. But it's with the intention of exploring, finding out how, where you feel this right now. When you're ready, can you find that full shape again, pressing your fingertips forward and down, puff your upper back and reach your tail super high into the full shape of your downward facing dog. And just the last long breath right here. Now from here, look at your toes. Press the front of your feet and lift your heels high. Now bend your knees a tiny little bit and begin to squeeze the front of your thigh muscle. Imagine a force coming up, pulling the skin of your front foot up into your front leg, up into your front thigh, and up into your belly. So it feels like your whole front body is contracting. And draw your front belly in and up so much you begin to round your back, even in your downward facing dog shape. And keep that around your body so much and begin to move forward. Your shoulder come above your wrist. It feels like you're trying to draw the skin of your toes up into your legs, up into your belly, and up into the direction of your face. Bring your shoulder as far forward as you can. Take an inhale right here, looking between your hands. If you need to lower your knees, but keep that contraction in your front body, then slowly bring as far forward as you can and lower down onto the floor as slowly as possible, bending at the elbow and still pushing onto the ground. Your front body is still drawing in and up until your chest, your stomach, your face lie onto the floor, toes point back. And just 2 deep breaths to release everything, to feel what is going on right now. Noticing if you're holding any residual tension, can you relax your hips, your thighs, your lower stomach? When you're ready, walk your forearms forward, so your elbows coming underneath your shoulders. And your forearm just pointing right to the front of the mat. And in general, it's kind of nice to walk your elbows a tiny little bit more forward. Your shoulders will be happy for that. Yeah. So a tiny little back bend. And notice the difference between if you slouch, just let your chest drop, versus if you press down and up. Imagine someone's pulling your neck up into the sky. And it kind of activates your upper back muscle a tiny bit. And give your butt a little rock. And can you tell that muscle to maybe relax a tiny little bit further? Now, if you feel intense pain in your lower back, this feels incredibly very uncomfortable, walk your arms forward more so you lift high, less high up. It takes off that intense sensation. Some of us are very young and flexible. You have the choice to press your hand, lift your elbows above the floor so you come a little bit further up. If you feel your lower back more instead of your front belly in this position, look down into your belly. Draw your belly in and up. So it's almost as if you're doing a plank in this shape. So instead of letting your front body slouch, look down and lift your front body in and up towards your spine. And that should bring the openness a little bit further down and towards your lower belly and the front hips. If you have done this, lower your shoulders away from the face and still lengthening through the back of your neck. So your whole front side and the whole back side feels spacious. And we are going to stay a little bit longer in this one. Can you begin to find the position or the areas in your body that doesn't need to activate anymore? Are you making a funny face? Can you relax your jaws? Do you have any tension? Are you chewing a very sour lemon? Can you relax your eyebrows? Can you soften the insides of your mouth, your gums of the teeth? Can you even imagine your bottom jaw just drop down a little bit further? So it feels like your teeth starting to part away from one another. And give your head a little soft turn, noticing if you're holding tension in any particular sides of your neck, front, back, left to right. And begin to invite your mind to feel this breath, the awareness to anchor. Noticing as you inhale, the back of your body feels lighter. It feels like it's rising. Noticing as you exhale, there's this sinking. It feels like you're dropping just a tiny little bit deeper to the floor. And feeling this breath rocking you. It's like we're a driftwood or a boat. It's on the water. And taking just the last 5 long breaths here. And slowly begin to release your stomach down, your bottom ribs, your chest, your shoulders, and stack your hands underneath your forehead. And immediately release everything. Noticing if you're holding any portion of your breath, can you let that breath go? Maybe becoming aware of where, if you feel any intense sensation from that shape just now. And perhaps noticing as the sensation begins to fade, it feels less obvious, less intense. And before we get too sleepy, bring your hands on the side of your ribs. Draw your belly in to press into your all fours, hands and knees. If you need to move into your lower back, go ahead and do that. Maybe waving your hips, wagging your tail from side to side. Maybe a little cat-cow, focusing on the cat shape, drawing your belly in, puffing the back body up. When you feel ready for it, find your downward facing dog. It doesn't matter which one, what direction, what shape, what version of downward facing dog. Come up, and reaching your hips back and up. Just a very short one. Press your left foot firmly down so you feel your hips starting to engage. And float your right leg up behind you. Take an inhale as you float. And exhale, bend your right knee and make a big step forward on the right side. Or in the side of your right hand, rather. If you need to help it, go ahead and do that. Lower your left knee down to the floor. Pat your knee if you need to. And from here, draw your right or your left knee forward. Imagine you're trying to grab the mat with your knee and pull your mat forward towards the front of your mat. And maybe you notice your hips and your belly starting to engage just a tiny little bit. And from here, you need to lift your arms up towards the sky and press into your right foot. So your belly is lifting off of the thigh. Take about 2 breaths right here where you are. Now from here, bring your hands onto your right thigh. Push your thigh down and away. And you're trying to find a little bit of space between your belly and the thigh. So it feels like you're backing off of that pose. And that's kind of normal. And you're trying to maintain the space in your front of the right hip. It's almost as if you're drawing your belly in and rounding your back a tiny little bit. And you feel your front of the left thigh more. Keep that as you slowly begin to drop your hips forward and down. If it's okay, point your left toes back behind you. Now keep everyone feeling you're trying to hug your belly away from the thigh. Lift your arms up into the sky one more time. And begin to bend your left elbow and touch your hand behind, maybe the back of your heart, maybe the back of your neck, maybe back of your left shoulder. I'm just gonna have to face you right here. A little tricky. Now with this left elbow, begin to point it up towards your face a little bit more and bring it further out. And this is purely from the strength of your arm in and out. So instead of forward and back, it's just closer towards your face, away from the face. And keep lifting your elbow up. Yeah, exactly. Now from here, your opposite hand is gonna grab hold of this elbow. Bring your elbow in. And this hand is gonna pull this elbow closer so you can feel a little bit of strength from this opposite arm. Now we're gonna play. This hand is still gonna pull it close, but this arm is gonna push it away from this hand. So you're pushing away to the opposite direction. And so you push, you feel this whole arm starting to become active. Your armpit will pry a tiny little bit. That's normal. And take your inhale right here and lift longer through this left side body. And exhale, keep pulling and keep pushing and slowly bend a little bit towards your right side. Ooh. Now, your bend elbow behind you, push it a lot. Push more and more and more until you can lift it back up into the middle. Your spine is normal now. And going back to the side. And do 2 more like that. I know we're really active here. And the next time you're bending to the side, look at your right thigh. Turn your whole chest to look and maybe even point your face down towards the right side. And you feel this connection from the underneath of your tricep all the way through your side. Maybe you feel it in your front of the left hip as well. And just 1 breath here. And slowly releasing this arm. Bring both of your hands down to the floor. Ooh. Press and lift your hips back for a moment just to give it a little bit of space. Option to move a few times with your hips forward and back. Now keep sinking your hips forward now. Walk your left hand a tiny little bit forward and wider so your wrist is no longer directly underneath your shoulders. And lift your right arm up into the sky. I'm gonna do that rotation in the shoulders again. Flip so that your palm facing towards the left side and your thumb will point back behind you. And slowly bring your arms all the way back towards behind you. Take inhale. And exhale as you lift up. Point your palms towards the outer side of the mat. Maybe back to the back of your mat. And slowly reach your arms forward. Inhale, turning in your palm, reaching your arms all the way to the back of your mat. And then exhale forward. And just the last one here. Inhale. And then exhale. And slowly bring your hands onto the floor. And this time straighten your right leg, pointing your toes up into the sky. Walking so your hands come underneath your shoulders. If this feels insane, crazy, maybe you have a little bit of something underneath your hands, just lift yourself up a tiny little higher. If you feel particularly stiff in this part, option to move, maybe bending and easing out of this leg for a moment. I realize I'm not looking at anything. And just forward them back a little bit. If you're quite flexible, this feels like it's nothing. Keep pointing your toes up. Push your heel onto the floor. And use that heel to pull your mat backwards towards yourself. So it feels like your skin of the back of your thigh is reaching down towards the heel. It feels like you're trying to take off your pants with just this drag of your heel. If you have space for it, begin to relax your spine, relax your skull, and drop your face down towards the direction of the ground. And deep, long breaths here. As we're moving in and out of these more active things, when we find stillness, it's very important that we try to find a softness. Can you relax your jaws? Can you relax your head and your neck? Maybe give your head a soft turn. Can you relax your shoulders away from the face? And taking just the last 2 breaths right here. And slowly looking forward, bending into that right leg, right knee. And step this knee back. Before you find your stomach, your whole chest onto the floor again. Either look down, forehead onto the back of your hands, or looking to one side. And as we drop into stillness, can you rest every single part of your body completely? Noticing what are the efforts that you had been using before. And when you're ready, press your hands on the side of your ribs down to the floor and come up onto your downward facing dog again. Left side, pressing your right foot down, floating your left leg back and up behind you. Inhale. And exhale, big step, foot between the hands. Lower your right knee down to the ground, toes pointing back. If you need to, a little blanket underneath the right knee. And press both hands directly on the left side this time and lift up. And back off of that shape first, so you can find space into your hips. Use your hands to push the skin of your thigh down towards the knee and suck your belly in and up to the opposite direction. So you feel the front of your right hip, which is really weird instead. Now keep that before you begin to sink your hips down. And you're trying to keep your belly draw in so you're not sticking your butt back. You're doing the opposite shape. Now, with your knee grabbing hold of the ground, imagine you're trying to pull the mat forward. So pull your right knee forward just a touch. Then you feel the front of your right thigh more. And from here, lift your arms up into the sky. Notice as you lift your arms up, it's very easy, our ribs come forward. Can you lift the back body longer? The front body draw in. And once again, bend your right elbow, touching the hand onto the back of your heart, or maybe neck, or maybe shoulder. And just using free kind of muscles here, just drawing this elbow in and out, left and right. And just noticing what kind of space you have here. How far can you go in each time? And your free hand is grab hold of this elbow now. And draw it in as close towards your face, behind your head as you can. Press your head back a little so you feel your tricep. Now keep pulling as you press this elbow back out towards the right side. So you're finding that traction. And it's up to you how strongly you want to do this, obviously. Now take an inhale, lengthen, especially through your right elbow, through your right side body. And exhale, just dipping a tiny little bit to the left. Now keep dipping and push your right elbow so much into the sky, you begin to overpower And lift your spine back up into the middle. And using this resistance to dip up and down. And notice even this very simple exercise can be very warm. I'm sweating big time right now. And the next time your spine is dipping to the left, look down towards your left hip, maybe even turn your chest all the way towards the left side and looking down to the floor. And you feel this whole line lighting up from your elbow, armpit, down to the ribs, down through the right front side of the hips. And just tiny 2 breaths here. And slowly releasing both hands down to the ground. Option to move your hips in and out of this for a moment. Now with your right hand walking tiny more forward and wider, so they're not it's not directly underneath your shoulders. Push into the whole palm of your hand so your shoulders reaching back a little bit on the right side. Squeeze your thighs and lift your left arm up in towards the sky. And once again, begin to spin your palm, facing your palms out and maybe back, and reaching back towards your tail. And as you spin your palm to the opposite direction, your whole arm reaching forward. And do 2 more like that, forward and back, while I charge my computer. And only you know how hard or how warm this can really feel. And the next time your left arm is forward, bring it all the way down to the floor. And take it in, reaching your spine forward and up. Next, press into your fingertips to straighten left leg, toes pointing up. And trying to position your hips really over your right knee, your hands underneath the shoulders, give you a little bit more leverage. If you need to lift up higher, bottles, blocks, books, whatever it is. And keep digging your left heel into the ground and just very lightly pull it towards yourself if you have space enough. And take inhaling from the spine. And exhale, folding. Relax your neck, shoulder, jaw, and the face. And wherever you are, stay right there. Can be here for about 4 breaths more. And using this opportunity to think about you dropping the crown of your head towards the floor. Can you even imagine the space between your eyebrows, your forehead releasing further? And think about softening the insides of your mouth, the gums of your teeth, throat. And taking just the last deep breaths right here. And looking forward, stepping into this left foot before you step this knee back. Once again, finding your chest onto the ground and releasing your whole body, either forehead onto the back of your hands or looking to the opposite direction. When you're ready, if you're ready, make your way to lie onto your side. whatever side, left or right side. And trying to use the least effort that you can. So as you lie, you want to bend the knees. So your knees are about 90 degrees, or your hips are bending about 90 degrees. I'm finding a little twist here. And you're stacking one of your hands on top of the other to start with. And one of your shoulders on top of the other. Good. I just want to look what's going on. It's very awkward. Now from here, your top arm lifting up into the sky. And take an inhale, lengthen your arms up into the sky. And exhale, begin to reach it back behind you. Open the chest as far down as you can. Notice your top knee will move. Can you use your free hand to draw this knee so your knees stacking on top of one another? And take an inhale, reaching your left or your free arm up into the sky. And exhale, this arm reaching towards the original side, forward. So you're just opening and closing. Inhale your left arm or your top arm up. And exhale, open book. And exhale, this arm up. And closing. And just do one more like that. And thinking about you drawing this shoulder blade as far down as you can as you draw, as you twist. The next time you're in the twist, stay there. And this arm is gonna be as heavy as you can. Think about this arm weighing down, your elbow heavy. Maybe you feel the front of your chest, your armpit just a tiny bit. We're just gonna move this arm. Keep it heavy, reach it up towards the top of your head. Lengthen through this arm. I regret not saying one side first. Bending at the elbow, bringing this elbow down towards behind you, towards your lower back. And just up and down. See if I can show you on this side. It looks like this. So as you're gliding and twisting like this, you'll feel the front of your armpit, the front chest. Now choosing position for this arm, just letting your arm rest heavy, your shoulders resting heavy, and free up your opposite hand. I'm just gonna stay a few breaths right here. As you breathe, imagine this breath filling up the space into your ribs. It's like a breath trying to sip through all these places that's twisting and twining and pixelating towards one another. Now, begin to draw your belly in. Press your upper back onto the floor, rolling through the spine so that your middle back, lower back come onto the floor as well. Staying in the center for a moment, maybe giving your knees a little rock from side to side. And begin to turn your chest, your legs to the opposite direction. Once again, starting from lying on the side. Bring your knee high up so it's about the same height as your hip. One arm over the other. And as you inhale, lifting this top arm up. Keep reaching and reach it back. And think about reaching your shoulder blade down to the floor as you open. And lifting this arm back up. And closing, hands over the other. And do 3 more like that. Now, on the next 2 times you open your chest, think about you're sending your top knee away from this arm. So you're deepening this twist a little bit. It's almost like your hips and your upper body is twisting in 2 opposite directions. It's okay. The next time your arm is open, stay there. And just once again, doing that little wing movement, lifting your arms up towards the top of the head. Keeping the arm happy, bend the elbow. Imagine trying to elbow your back. And just doing it up and down like that a few more times. And once again, choosing how high your arm wants to be. It should be just enough an openness in your front shoulder, but not too heavy, not too much. And taking just the last 3 breaths right where you are. When you're ready, draw your belly in, pressing into your upper back, rolling through the spine, through your middle back, lower back, finding center. Your knees hovering above your stomach. If you feel good, you want to squeeze your knees into your chest for a moment. Give yourself a little hug. And when you're ready, straighten your legs, release your arms. And finding your final resting position into your Shavasana. We're only going to be here for a few minutes. And letting your arms rest anywhere that's comfortable. Your shoulders are heavy. And close your eyes. Noticing what parts of your body begin to soften first. And when the more subtle parts of your body to follow. Can you allow your jaw to relax a little further, the back of your throat to let go? Maybe even imagine the skin of your face, the muscles of your cheek begins to melt and spread, and taking away that expression on the face. And feeling your body finding the stillness completely. Can you even imagine or invite your awareness to the space between your eyebrows? Softening that space. Maybe even imagining the space behind your skull, in the front of your brain, begins to relax as well. Remaining still. Begin to invite your awareness to resurface. Noticing if there's any special sensation that speaks out to you from the body. Maybe it's the pressure from the back of your head, your hips against the floor. Is there any sensation of wind, breeze against your skin? Without moving, can you feel your mind into your hands? Feeling from the surface, the skin on the palm. Noticing if there's any small bubbles, any vibrations. The things are trembling a little bit. Begin to make the smallest movement. It's almost as if we're learning how it feels to move the joint of our fingers, the muscles, the skin. Broadening this movement so you can feel deeper into your hands, your palms, maybe even feeling your fingers touching one another. And with the same awareness, moving into your wrists, your ankles, your toes. And perhaps even giving your head a soft turn from side to side. And if this sounds inviting, sounds like something that feels good, take a stretch, lifting your arms away from the feet, but only if this sounds inviting for you to do. And releasing when you're ready for it. And taking your time to roll and lie onto one side for just a moment. And pausing as you roll. And awareness to that shift in sensation, in position, what it happens. Does it trigger anything interesting inside of your system? Or maybe really appreciating, still lying down, still taking a moment for yourself. And taking your time, truly press your hand down to come up. Eventually finding yourself in a sitting position. And sitting in any position that allows your spine to be nice and long. If you want to, you can do it with me. And bring your palms together in front of the chest. And bring our hands in front of the forehead to remind us of clear and loving thoughts. Bring our hands in front of the heart. Remind us of clear and loving intention. And bring the hands in front of the mouth to remind us of clear and loving communications. Bring the hands back in front of the heart. Lift the heart and softly bow the head. Thank you for practicing today. Namaste.